Welcome to Those Who Can't Do. I'm your host, Andrea Forkham, and today I have Tyler Jackowski with me. Hi.
What's going on? How are we doing? I'm so
Good.
excited.
How are
This is
you?
great.
I am so excited that you are here. Now, historically, what has been like your main thing that you've taught?
So here's the problem. And I feel like I've said this in so many different ways and shapes and forms just to like make it not sound insane in my head. It's easier to just give you the chronological. So when I first started
Okay.
off, I accepted, because I'm an idiot, I accepted my first job teaching. I was a stream and writing teacher. So you know STEM?
Yeah.
So imagine if STEM was like bigger and more annoying. So it was science, technology, religion, engineering, arts, mathematics, and writing.
Isn't that just school? Like, did they just...
No, it was just school. I was like the guy. And get this. So it was that for grades K2 through 6.
Whoa.
Yeah. So basically what would happen is like teachers would teach. So it was an elementary / like early middle school, and teachers would basically do like general content with like reading, writing, and then like basic math. And then they would bring it into me and I would teach them like the STEM, like creator space type of thing. Ask me what degree I got.
What degree?
Not science, not math, not religion. Can you imagine? Are you a mother?
I am.
Great. Imagine if you bring your kid into religion class and my dumbass walks out and I'm like,
here we are, guys.
If I'm teaching religion to the American population, we are going into the hole and it's going so fast.
I'm trying to figure out how they wrapped that one in. Like, how is that one included?
It's because it was a Catholic school.
Okay, got it.
It was a Catholic school. But jump back to when I was in college. So the first school that I worked at was right down the street from the college I went to, where I was not studying science. And so they would like bring me in, and so the whole time that I was doing my education degree, because that's what I actually got a friggin' degree in, they were like really close to the school. So whenever they needed like externship opportunities and substituting and just like being over there, they would say like, hey, you're an education major, go get them. And I'd be hungover like crazy. And I'd be like, okay. So I'd go hang out with toddlers for a while, but they would have me like painting the walls. I took out the trash for them. I would like, I was changing diapers for not too long because I would like throw up in my lap. It was bad.
Wait, I'm so confused. This was a K-12 school? Like,
it was K through 6.
Okay. Where there were kindergartners with diapers?
Yeah.
Really? Is that a thing? I've never taught kindergarten. My son is in preschool and he's not in diapers.
Andrea, the extent to which these kids will defecate at any age is amazing. Like it's not like a oh, this is like correct for your age. No, it's like you have to go, you don't feel like walking, you're going.
Oh my gosh. So I've only ever done high school where they might still be crapping their pants, but they have enough shame that they would hide it.
Oh,
you know?
Oh my God. And okay. So to continue what I was saying, so I taught K2 through 6th grade, all of those contents, but basically like, as you know, like you need to work towards your professional license. So the friggin' administrator's like, we got you, we'll add on and writing. I have a plaque that's been up on my classroom that says, Mr. Tyler Jackowski, stream and writing. They had to like write it on in like Sharpie. It was ridiculous.
Now your bachelor's degree is in education?
Yes. So I did a double major in secondary education and English. Okay. With the goal of being a friggin' English teacher at some point in my life. But I did that for 2 years. And then I ultimately went on to teach humanities at that school, which was like it wasn't the right direction, but it was like a step. And I taught humanities because that's like a mixture of social studies and English. In that, I'm not going to lie, like, can we swear on here?
Yeah.
Great. That was a shitload of fun. And like, I really enjoyed teaching humanities. It was great. But like, it wasn't focused enough for the district to be like, you got to be teaching English. So ultimately, after a couple of years in that school, way more than I should have been, but I just love the students so much. And my coworkers, some of them were assholes, but some of them were amazing. Wow, this is going to go on the internet. But ultimately, like I stayed at that school longer than I should have because like the first year they offered me like $28,000 and I almost shit my pants.
Because you thought it was a lot, or because you did? Aw.
Because my IQ is the same as my shoe size, and I don't know what's what in this world. What does anybody
You're
want from me?
$28,000, is that even above the poverty line
Oh, I
for,
was
like, the
impoverished.
US?
Oh, I was
You're like, "No, I was
impoverished. I was
impoverished."
like, I know that I was impoverished. Like I was eating like Hot Pockets for like the majority of the year. Did a doozy on my stomach. But
I
basically,
bet.
so to continue on, are you glad you had me on yet?
I'm so glad, yeah.
Can we like just hang out? I feel like we need to just like chill. We should do that.
1,000%.
That would be
Yes.
fun. So basically, after I got done with that school, I went off and I did this massive switch from teaching um, stream and writing to everybody up to humanities for 5th and 6th grade. And then I took a massive leap up to Boston Public School, Title I school, 11th and 12th grade English.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I did the leap of faith with zero faith because I had just gone out of Catholic schools, and now I know for sure that there's nothing up there. So, so then I hope this isn't a religious podcast. So I'm looking around for like crosses in the background.
You're just trying to see if I have a crucifix behind me.
I'm like, Jesus, is she like singing hymns? But so I went off and I taught 11th and 12th grade for an entire year. And it's funny that we bring up kids shitting themselves in class, because this past school year, I had a student, he just trusted himself way too much. And there was one time I was getting observed. So I got the principal. I got, it wasn't the superintendent, but it was a person from the superintendent's office who's basically going to directly say, like, this person should be teaching or this person should not be teaching. Great timing. So I have my student comes in, and he's just like, he lives to screw with his teachers. And frankly, like, I can't be that mad about it because when I was in middle school, I was a nightmare. We'll get to that.
Right.
So he comes in, and I think that his goal was like, I'm going to eat everything on the Taco Bell menu the night before and hold it in. So we're like halfway through a lesson. It's dead silent because they're like doing work and it's early. So the kids who don't do their work are asleep and the kids who do their work are doing their work. And this kid just like trusted one, and it was like probably 3% air.
Oh,
and
was it wearing, like audibly?
Oh my
like you
God.
could hear that it was definitely not air coming out of his butt.
It sounded like something you would like find on like a pre-recorded tape if you wanted to hear the sound of like a public stall. It was crazy.
No.
It was like Coachella bathroom, like sponsored by Chipotle. It was the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And the kid, he was just completely unbothered. We looked around and I was like, do you want to go clean yourself up? And the kid was like, I'm good. And I was like, I don't think you're good. I'm almost positive
you were
you're
being
not
observed?
Good. I was being observed. So we're all like unanimously horrified. And now we get to like live in this confined space where we're all sharing air.
Just knowing.
No ventilation in Boston public schools. None.
Oh.
So we're basically, we all are now pink eye victims. And like, I don't know what you like really are expecting from this kid, but he was like, nah, I'm good. Goes right back to sleep.
Oh, so he woke up to shit himself and then.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, your pants are going to be concrete by lunch.
Oh.
What are you, like, what are we doing here?
Oh my God.
Again, are you still glad that you brought me in?
so very glad. So, okay. So were you teaching at the Catholic school also in Boston? Are you from Boston?
Yeah. So I was born right outside of Boston. Everybody gets all pissed off if you say that you're from Boston when you're not like born on like Matt Damon's doorstep. Yeah, exactly. Right. You got to be born on Route 1 going straight through the city. No, so I was born in Danvers, right outside of the city. And I went to school outside of the city in Danvers. And then I went to college in Boston. And since I went to college, I've been living in Boston.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been a good time.
Actually, for the first time this summer, I went to Boston and I fell in love. I love Boston.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
It has to be, I think, one of the most underrated cities. Like I don't know what I had in my mind other than what I've like seen of people talking with like a really heavy Boston accent. I had a student last year in my teacher prep program that was from Boston, and he swore like a sailor. Like Bostonians swear like an artist with an easel. It is spectacular.
Don't even get me started, Andrea. Can I tell you the amount of self-control I've developed across 5 years of not cursing in my classroom, like
Right.
whether it's a student jumping out from behind a door when I'm in my prep period, scaring everything out of my stomach, to students just saying like irreparable things about my teeth and nose and forehead and existence. Like the amount of self-control it takes to be a teacher from Boston is it's an apocalypse in my brain every single
Yeah.
day. And it's just the
Y-
craziest thing. So you said that you went to Boston and you were expecting like a certain thing. You were expecting like street fights and they're like saying slurs in Gaelic.
I don't know exactly what I was expecting. The cussing thing though, my student, because we all talked to him like, if you're going to be working in the Midwest, like you can't be talking like that, because he
Sure.
would answer something in class and it would just be 4 F words before the end of the
Mm-hmm.
sentence.
Yep.
And so he made a rule that for every time he slipped up and cussed in class, he made himself do 10 push-ups. And I have to tell you, I saw him just yesterday in the hallway, and he ran out of clean shirts, so he was wearing a sleeveless shirt. This kid is so ripped now
And now he's the
because
Rock.
yeah, because he has to do push-ups every time he accidentally swears. I think he's getting better, but
Oh
it's
my
an
God.
ongoing
If
battle
I
for
did
him.
that, I would be Mr. Universe in like
I know.
10 minutes. Because I think like that's a misconception about teachers that people don't talk about enough, where it's like
Yeah.
the people I've met in my life who are the most, like, swear the most, they say the grittiest things, they act like it's the end of the world on a Friday afternoon, it's teachers. And
Yeah.
I think it's because we spend the whole day wanting to say things and wanting to act on impulse, and you can't. So the minute that you put
Yeah.
them on a bar stool, Friday afternoon after a long week, you will never see alcohol get ingested faster in your whole life. World War II ending, light work to a teacher on Friday. Okay. You will never hear more swear words. And the thing is, like, I know that from a professional dynamic, you're not supposed to talk about the students. It's all teachers do. All we do
Oh
is
yeah.
talk about the students, and we make sure that every teacher knows, like, this kid did this. So when they walked up smiling with their hands crossed and they're asking for like a present, don't give it to them.
Hmm.
But it's like,
Right.
that's a misconception, because teachers, the fact of the matter is, we're also humans, right?
Yeah.
And we happen to be very angry humans who went into a career field where you can't be angry. It's just
Yeah.
like the piece of the pie.
Did you ever mess up in class and swear, like really obviously, like in front of your entire class? Because I have for sure done that. Okay.
Are you kidding
What's
me?
like your favorite incident of that?
Okay, favorite because I think it's funny in hindsight, or favorite because it's I don't know. I'm gonna
I
go
would say
with the one that
funniest
I
in
think's funny
hindsight.
in hindsight, because like
Yeah.
it's a horrible thing to do.
Oh
Okay,
God.
it was
Okay.
not good. Okay, remember how I told you about the kid behind the door?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's back up. It is what was it? So my birthday's on Halloween, and I go absolutely 12 out of 12 when it comes to Halloween, and especially in the classroom, I would like go 100%. So I remember it was Halloween, it was my birthday, so I'm like, nothing can get in my way. I'm gonna have a great day. So at that time, I had a prep period very early on in the morning. I am dressed as a doctor. I am in scrubs. Okay. Um, and I left my classroom because I had to like print something out or like figure out how to use the goddamn printer, because and so I had left my classroom and there's no one in my room. Obviously, my students are off at like gym or some shit. And so I go to the printer, I'm taking my time, I'm coming back, I'm having a nice 27-minute break over the whole day. And I come back in my classroom and there was a student behind my door. Okay. So I'm walking in, I'm expecting peace, serenity, good vibes, happiness for once. And this student jumped out with a goblin mask on. And I think my brain like resorted back to like Vietnam PTSD, where I was like, this isn't actually happening. It was like two
Right.
things. It went into straight up like self-protection mode. And I said, oh, F word, F word, oh, F word, jumping up and down like a schoolgirl. And I think that my brain was like, you're not a teacher anymore. You're a
Right. It's
veteran.
done. Yeah.
And I was just like this. And the problem is the kid was like a third grader, this little tiny child wearing like a gremlin mask. And I'm this far away, like screaming the F word. And then after a while, the kid was like, and I did that teacher thing where I was like, I will literally throw you at your classroom and tell your teacher that you were screwing around in my room. I'll get you in so much trouble. You're never going to say a word and you're going to get out of my room right now. So I sat down, I went into cardiac arrest, and then I went on with my day.
Oh my God.
How you do it.
Did that kid ever like apologize or
I never saw
make
him again.
eye contact with you?
He never came in the direction of my class again. I wouldn't either. Are you kidding me? If anyone, if an adult on the street right now got up in my face this close and said half of what I said, I might never leave my apartment again. So this kid, he has to go on dressed like a ghoul for the rest of the day, acting like he didn't just get cursed out in like the most egregious fashion by a teacher. And
you're so lucky it was a kid that age and not a teenager, because it would have for sure been filmed had it been
100%
a teenager.
I would have been the number one reel in TikTok across all of social media. Probably would have been good for the page, but Christ, would it have been bad? My teacher license would have gotten ripped out of my spine.
Immediately canceled. I had a similar-ish situation. I didn't get scared. I was more really annoyed. So at that time I was finishing my my degree. I was getting my license. So I was teaching and I was going to getting my master's, doing all of this stuff, exhausted. And I was really into The Walking Dead at that point, right? And this was like early seasons Walking Dead, right? So Glenn, I don't want to spoil anything. Glenn was still alive at this point, and I was obsessed. I loved it. I watched it.
Damn it, Andrea! I was just about to start watching The Walking Dead.
Well, Glenn, I stopped watching it before a lot of stuff happened because it just kind of lost interest for me. But when I was watching it, I knew that like they left it on a cliffhanger and Glenn was in great peril, which happens a million times in that show. But I told my students, this was a class of freshmen to seniors. It was my journalism class. And I told them like, okay, guys, like I'm not going to watch The Walking Dead tonight or like yesterday, like tonight, because I'm going to be at grad school. Do not tell me what happens, right? So I come in the next day and this kid who's constantly trolling me, he comes up to me and he's like, hey, miss, you want to know what happened to Walking Dead last night? I was like, no, absolutely not. Don't tell me. And I'm like getting my stuff ready and I'm stressed and frazzled. And he's like, Glenn died. I said, don't you dare. And it was in front of the entire class. It was, everyone was like kind of chit-chatting and it got so quiet. And I could feel my face. I could feel my face heat up. And I was like, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. And the look on his face, like his eyes got so wide because I had never sworn like that in class before, but I was also first year teacher. And that is like the hardest year when you're trying to curtail swearing and all of that. And his eyes got so big and he said, well, and then you just hear all around, oh, Miss said a bad word. And I was like, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. Nothing. None of that happened. I was like, guys, be cool. Be cool. Be cool.
No, but it's like, what are you going to do? We're here to teach lessons. You taught that kid a lesson.
Lessons were learned. They never snitched, but for the rest of the time I was at that school, that kid would come back in and be like, remember when we were talking about The Walking Dead? And I'm like, I don't actually. I have no memory of that. He
blackmailed you. He should have been like, remember that time you brought me a donut and I didn't tell every administrator about what you said? Remember? I'd be like, it's crazy. I feel like I'm a big, like I like a medium cold brew ice black. Like,
right. Exactly.
I don't know. I feel like you could get me that and it wouldn't be much of a problem.
Oh my gosh. It was so bad. Like lessons were definitely learned. And
You're teaching business.
Mostly, obviously. Yeah. I mean, it was mostly that first year that I had things like that happen where I was just like, oh, I think like tired.
So it's actually really funny because again, I'm from outside of Boston. My parents taught me how to swear. And the high school that I went to before college, it was a super preppy school. It's a prep school. It's called St. John's Prep. It's in Danvers. And so it basically was like this really high achieving, super expensive prep school. In other words, not where I should have gone to high school. And my parents, like, I would have conversations with them and they would hear how often I swore. And they'd be like, you can't speak that way when you're in school. Like, if the headmaster hears you, if a supervisor hears you, if any of your teachers hear you, you're going to get kicked out and they're not going to give us any of our money back. Right. And I was like, Mom, or I guess to be realistic, Ma, here's the thing that you don't understand is like I have sort of like a switch. And I think this is one of the first signs where I realized that like teaching is something I could do. I straight up have a switch. If you had told me we need to go this entire podcast without swearing, I could do it. But I told her, I was like, whenever I see someone who I know I can't swear around, I can talk at the same rate, the same volume, the same consistency, and I'm just not going to swear. Like my
Yeah.
brain shuts it off. And I don't know if it's like a processing thing or like some like special other disability I have, but like I just don't do it. I don't know what it is. It's
Yeah.
just like it doesn't happen. And she told me, she was like, I don't trust that. I don't trust that at all. And I was like, I don't blame you. But then I brought that to the classroom because in my years as a high school student, I don't think I ever swore in front of a teacher that didn't already like wasn't like already kind of okay with swearing. So
Yeah.
and it was never anything bad. It was never anything I'd actually say outside of school. Outside of school, you'd think we're like on like the 56th floor of a building being made in like the 30s. Like it's
Right.
not fun. But I never screwed up. And
Yeah.
I would bring that into teaching and my parents would tell me, they'd be like, you can't speak like this in front of your class. And I'm like, what do you think I do every day? Do you think I'm sitting in front of pick your shit up? Like with what, children? No, like it doesn't happen. I have a switch and it's on and it's off. And I think that it's like a mixture of a superpower and a curse because every time that I've wanted to swear and I couldn't, my brain becomes like this melting pot of like, I need to let this out at some point. And that's what bars are for.
Or, if a kid happens to jump out from behind a door wearing a scary Halloween mask, and then that switches whatever switches in your brain, it
No, the
overrides
switch
that.
got ripped out of the wall. That was so bad. Like I could not have let carelessness hit the wind harder if I tried. It was just like, it was a Jesus take the wheel moment. And by Jesus take the wheel, I mean Jesus. I'm going to say every curse word I've ever heard in my life. Like a proper Bostonian.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So when I was in Boston, I had probably the coolest moment since I started doing social media stuff because
Okay.
I was there with like my whole family and we were just kind of going around looking at the sites. We went to the little Tea Party Museum, which by the way, if people haven't gone, so cool.
It's so much fun.
It was. And then we went to Boston Sail Loft, which is like a chowder place downtown.
Sick.
Very, very good chowder.
Oh my God.
So we show up, we stand at the front, and there's this, guy who's taking names and stuff, and we're like, "Oh, can we get in?" And he's like, "Oh, it's gonna be like an hour wait." And we're like, "Okay." And my kids are getting hungry, and so I was like, "All right, well, like maybe we'll come back later." He's like, "It's gonna be busier later, and we don't take any reservations." And I was like, "Crap." And so we're standing there trying to figure out what to do, and then this woman comes up behind him and says, "Oh my God, are you Andrea?" And I was like, "Yes, I am." And she's like, "Oh my God, Dad." And she looks at the guy who's taking the name. She's like, "Dad, we have to get her in." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And she's like, "I'm a teacher, but my dad owns this place. And, we don't take reservations or like let people in for anything." She's like, "We had like the secretary of, some muckety muck from the government was here last week. We made him wait." She's like, "But Dad, maybe we can open they opened the patio area for me and my kids and my parents and like had a special little private patio area for us to eat in." And I was like so blown away because she's a teacher in the Boston Public Schools and she was so, so sweet and so kind. And she messaged me like 2 weeks later on Instagram and said that the guy who plays Luke Skywalker, I can't remember his name. I know,
No,
I'm so terrible.
I'm not the guy.
Luke Skywalker, that guy.
Yeah.
He apparently came like 2 weeks later and she made him wait for a table.
All right, Andrea.
I just happened to be like the very perfect niche for that teacher. And it was just one of those where I was like, I think I love Boston. Like I got treated like such a celebrity. It was so fun. The food was really good when I was in Boston. Like went to an incredible coffee shop. Like it was just the best experience. So
oh my God,
big fan of Boston.
You badass. Oh my God. Yeah. That's the thing about Bostonians. It's like if you're someone that we like, we'll treat you like $1 million. But if you're someone we hate, we will make sure you don't want to be alive anymore. It's like the craziest thing in the world. It can go both ways. Like if you're someone who we think is just like a scumbag, you're going to get ripped to shreds. We're really, really good with like you're going to get what you deserve type of town. And I don't know. I think that like, so in fairness, that situation's crazy. I haven't had somebody be like, we made, Darth Vader sit out in the cold, but you're coming in. You're on a different
Right.
level. But I will say there was one time, so I was where was I? I was in Boston flying to LA, and there was a group of students, all like 8th grade probably. And they were on a trip from LA to Boston, and they were on their way back. They were on the same flight as me. Nightmare. So they saw me, and like I've come to find that in lieu of the fact that I've never taught 7th and 8th grade, 7th, 8th, 9th, or 10th grade, those groups are the ones that are like Mr. J. And I'm like,
Yeah.
damn. So and it was this group of like 30 children.
Oh,
So
gosh.
what happened was one of them came up to say hi to me, and then 6 of them came up to say hi to me, and then they were all coming up to say hi to me. And I think the thing about me is that like I'm never going to be upset if somebody like wants to say hi to me, but the problem is I'm also a person who's been in education. So when it comes to kids, like I'll do whatever I need to do to make a student happy. So
Right.
it went from like saying hi and like waving across the terminal to me sitting on the ground surrounded by a group of children all screaming things at me, being like, "Are you Skibbity Riz?" And I'm like, I still don't know what that means. So they're asking me all these questions. They're like pulling up their phones so that we can do like dances and like TikTok
Nice.
trends and all this. So since they were on a field trip, they were on the field trip with their teachers. And even the teachers
Right.
were like, love what you do. So I was
awesome.
sitting on the ground with them, and I have like all these pictures from it because it was just so funny. The teachers, because I was like completely entertaining their entire group of kids, the teachers were like, let us do like something for you. And they like went off and they like got me a coffee, and they came back, and the teachers were like cooling in the back, like sitting up, like feet kicked up. I have
Oh,
all of
heck
their
yeah.
students. And she looked at me and she was like, the minute that you want them to stop, please just like give me a thumbs up. I'll call them all back over. They do not have to be there.
Right.
And I realized that in that moment, it's like, I would prefer to be sitting down talking to people about content and about like whatever stuff that I do than watching TikToks in the airport. It's like that feeling
Yeah.
of like being able to meet people who think that the stuff that I put on social media is like worth coming up and talking to me is
Yeah.
is better than anything I could ever ask for. Because
Yeah.
when I was in like middle school, and like mostly middle school was like really, really bad for me, but like high school wasn't awesome either. But like in middle school, I wasn't aware of the fact that I had ADHD and like massive anxiety. Like I was diagnosed at 27. I'm 28, right? So
Yeah.
like it took a really long time for me to understand like, why can't I sit still? Why is it like every now and again like my heart rate shoots up and I like kind of can't breathe? And I would like have these issues, and I would have teachers telling me like, you need to shut up. You need to stop talking. You're way too loud. You won't stop
Yeah.
moving. You're like I'm tapping my feet right now, And if
Yeah.
I wasn't doing this, I don't think I'd be able to have a conversation. But like back then, the teachers would be like, if you keep tapping your foot, I'm going to send you out of the classroom, And
Mm-hmm.
I remember my first anxiety attack was in middle school, and I had to be like carted out of the school, and I didn't know what it was. My mom thought it was like an asthma attack, and I was like, Mom, I know I'm out of shape, but I was sitting still. Like, what do you want me to do? I was sitting still. Like, I don't think this was it, but my heart rate was like 190 as a middle schooler.
Yeah. Jeez.
And like the way that this all comes back together is like, I spent a lot of years having people tell me to shut up and like not wanting to hear my voice and saying like, whenever I talked, it was annoying or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
the idea that now as a 28-year-old, I have people who not only enjoy what I say, but want me to say more is like the fact that you're inviting me onto a podcast, like, to get me to talk is like such a
Yeah.
beautiful round circle. And that's the thing that I love about like talking to the kids is that like there's probably a kid or two, like even I was like, dude, you need to shut up. But I was like, no, you don't. You just need to like
Right.
say certain things and then hold off on certain things. But like
Yeah.
promoting that idea that like your voice should be heard, your voice is worth being heard, because that was some shit that I like really needed to hear back then. And I never got any
Yeah.
of it. So if I ever see kids who want to like say hi to me, I will never say no.
Yeah. And, it's so funny because I kid you not, of the people who I have on my podcast who are usually teacher creators or people who are involved in education and
Mhm.
also have some sort of online platform, I would say a solid 90% of them. And people probably think I'm like looking for people who have been diagnosed with ADHD, myself included.
Yep.
I got diagnosed like 2 years ago. But like, I kid you not, I think that maybe 10% of the people who I've had on don't have ADHD.
Yeah.
Everybody else is like, yeah, so I was just diagnosed with ADHD recently. And I think it's because we did spend so much time trying to like shut up and
Mhm.
make ourselves smaller and all of that. And then we found a way for us to share ourselves and be creative and do all of that online. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, hey, like, turns out there's a whole market for this and I
Right?
really enjoy it.
And I
Like,
love it. And it's like, so there, I had like sort of two sides to it. Like the ADHD is like kind of its own thing where it's just like a focus. It's like, staying on the same like path when I'm talking, which like even now you've watched it happen. I don't stay on the same thing, but it all sort of comes together. But the side of
right.
it that really got to me like on a daily basis was the anxiety. Like
Mm.
I got diagnosed in one fall swoop. I talked to a psychiatrist for like 10 minutes and she's like, yeah, we got one for you. I got diagnosed mass anxiety and insomnia, and they would work cyclically.
Gosh.
So I would not sleep the whole night, and then the not sleeping would feed the anxiety, and then I would like wake up during the day. My heart rate would be on 10. Like this time, actually, this week last year, I had to get a surgery to get and it's still in my chest. I have a loop recorder put in my chest because a little over a year ago, it was like October of the year before or October of last year, I was visiting my friend out in Vegas. And I was like, it was like the morning I was working out. And I had a problem with my heart rate, like a little bit. And I knew that I had like some problem with like mental health and anxiety, but it had never really come to a head like this. I was like working out and I like did a run and it wasn't like a run where it was like, oh, your heart. No, it was like a mellow run so that I can say that I worked out and people will leave me alone. But
Right.
I had finished my workout and I was just like chilling, like having a drink of water, like not doing anything. My heart rate went up to 218
Dude.
for 10 minutes sitting perfectly still.
Jeez.
I have a picture of my my Apple Watch and it was like red.
It's
Red,
like,
like holy
hey,
shit, go to the
you're gonna
hospital.
die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, so basically after that, and I realized that like my anxiety had been pretty bad before that. Actually, no, I'm wrong. This all happened like right before the start of the school year. And that's where like the wheels start turning as a teacher, where you're like, you got to start getting stuff together or you're going to be
Yeah.
screwed. So I think
Mhm.
that was like an every morning feeling for me. And yeah, my heart rate was like 218 for 10 minutes sitting perfectly still. And that to someone who's like in like a very, very like minimally different part of their life is cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
100% you're on the floor, cardiac arrest,
Yeah.
like heart failure. That's what happens when your heart fails. Like your heart's working when it doesn't need to. And it's like, all right, well, this sucks. So
Yeah, exactly.
so this time last year, I had to get a surgery to get a loop recorder put in my chest because we needed to find out if it was either an anxiety thing and like just a stress problem or full blown atrial fibrillation, which as the years
Jeez.
go on is like 90% like you're going to be prone to heart attacks.
Yeah.
And for that to happen at 27
It's
is not
crazy.
a good situation. So when I first got that in, fun fact, I did the surgery like before school and then went to school after, which was ridiculous.
Like on the same day?
On the same day.
Tyler.
I know. I should that can be a story for the next time I come on the podcast. That shit was stupid. But I was talking to the cardiologist and he was like, we need to find out why this is happening because you're on a road to having an incredibly unhealthy heart because it's being like it's being your heart's basically being like strangled by something. So let's
Yeah.
find out what it is. So at a similar time, I had started therapy like probably like 6 or 7 months before all of this was happening. And I had never seen a psychiatrist. And I was talking to my therapist about it before this whole heart rate situation. And I was talking to a psychiatrist and she was like, I know why it's happening. I know exactly why it's happening. So she diagnosed me. I got put on Zoloft. I got put on hydroxyzine for sleep. And I have not had a single episode of a heart flutter since.
Oh my gosh.
I
That's
had my
amazing.
anxiety was so bad, I was putting myself into like pre-heart attack zone.
Yeah, like literally you were in fight or flight,
Mhm.
sitting still doing nothing
Yeah, my
just
body
from the
would wake me
anxiety.
up in the middle of the night and you would think that I was just fighting a bear. And it was just like the craziest thing. And this is something, the reason why I like bringing that up on podcasts, especially podcasts about education, is people like to downplay the effects of the job of being a teacher, you know?
Mhm.
And people already know that like mental health in schools, in teachers specifically, we like just don't like to talk about it. No administrator wants to be like, hey, we want you to be happy every day. And they're like, can you pay for my mental health work? And they're
Right.
like, no. We will,
No.
however, give you coffee on Fridays and it'll be drip coffee and it's going to taste like piss. But this is your mental health, right? So
Right.
it's like it gets to a point where it's like, I know no one's going to help me. So I, at some point, needed to have like a pre-heart attack in order to start helping myself. And since
Yeah.
it's been amazing since it's more or less fingers crossed, like under wraps. But like
Yeah.
that's the point that it got to. And I think that it's a testament to the fact that like if there's a teacher watching this who feels like their mental health isn't in order, it's gonna creep up on you at some point in time. I hope it doesn't
Right.
happen in the way that it does to me, but like get ahead of it.
Yeah.
100% get ahead of it. Because if you're like a broken vessel, you're not gonna do anything in the classroom. You know, it's gonna be
Yeah.
a complete waste of your time and the kids' time. So it's like that was just a
100%.
shit show for me.
Yeah. So we are going to take a break, but when we get back, we are going to be discussing some potential holiday things that teachers could get into since
Mm-hmm.
this episode is coming out beginning of December.
Mm-hmm.
So we will be right back.
Hey, everybody.
Hey!
I'm Lauren,
I'm Jordan.
and we are starting a podcast together.
Yay, finally!
I know. It's been like in the works for so long, and finally we get to share it with you guys.
We're really excited about this. So.
It's called We Are Fine.
Are we, though?
Sometimes, not always.
Some days we're doing really good.
Yeah, and some days we're doing real bad, guys.
Yeah.
And it's okay. But
Down
we're
in
going to
the
talk about
dumps.
it. And this entire podcast is dedicated to all of life's ups and downs and all kinds of teacher-related mishaps.
Like being stuck in a school during an apocalypse and trying to figure out how you're going to survive?
Yeah, and then also like the really fun moments, like building a special relationship with your students, or even raising a fictitious egg named Egbert who becomes a mushroom king.
I'm sure he is Toad, not just a mushroom king.
Okay. What about the teacher stuff? Because I want to talk about teacher stuff.
Yeah, there will be all of that. We have some amazing teacher guests, and we get to dive into their lives as educators.
So we hope you'll join us on this journey and the We Are Fine podcast. You can get it every Wednesday on my YouTube channel, Mrs. William Fifth, or on all audio platforms and everywhere that you get podcasts. We will be there.
I've heard there's a Doge Moon podcast platform now, in space only.
It'll be there too. So we hope that you'll be there with us, and we can't wait to share this journey with you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Welcome back to Those Who Can't Do. So holidays
Mhm.
are now, I have been to pretty much, I'm going to be honest, every school that I've gone to. I've heard things on the news and stuff about people getting upset about discussing holidays or whatever, but I've never been to a school where it wasn't very inclusive and
Yeah.
people who are celebrating different holidays felt like they could talk about, whatever their family culture and celebrations were and all of that kind of stuff. But I have gotten some crazy Christmas gifts before.
Mhm.
I got like a pair of used socks once, like
How used?
like that were there was like a hole, like they were kind of like rolled up, like how they used to be white and then like they were rolled up and all of that and like in a little gift bag. And it was one of those kids that was really quiet. And so you're like, are you screwing with me? Like
Yeah.
you don't know how to take it. So you just are like, thank you. That's so sweet. Cause like, what if they were like, giving their best Christmas gift and that's what they found was their dad's old socks or something. And you don't want to be insensitive because, or maybe that kid hated me and was like, won't it be funny if I give her?
I'm like trying to think of how much you need to do to put a hole in a sock. And
A lot.
I'm just like, I'm trying to think of myself and I'm so OCD when it comes to socks. Like I need my socks, they need to be heavy friggin' duty. Can we just talk about the fact that like, if we needed to, you and I could talk about socks for probably 40 minutes. That's beside the point.
I was getting ready. I had like six different things to say about socks.
Have you seen that goddamn filter, that friggin' filter on TikTok where it shows you a foot and you adjust it to where the sock should be, like next to the ankle or up like halfway through, and then it guesses your goddamn age?
What did it guess for you?
So, okay, if this is a foot, right?
Yes.
Okay, this is like your calf, this is like your knee, and this is like your heel. This is dumb as shit. Oh my God. But you adjust it. So for me,
right.
I don't think I can put my foot next to my head to display it. Whatever. For me, the sock needs to be like right next to your ankle, right?
Okay.
Like hugging around the ankle, under your, like right along your Achilles heel. If it's not there, I will scream at pedestrians. And the thing is, I did that and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, all right, what? This means like I wear shorts. I'm like walking around a lot. Like I like having like airflow so that my feet don't smell like shit all day long. It pinned me at 50 years old. 50.
For having ankle socks?
For having ankle. What do you want me to put on stockings? What do you want me to do?
That's a crime.
Like I'm wearing
that is
like
a crime.
It wants me to wear friggin' fishnets to work. I don't understand the purpose of this. But
Gen Z,
I don't care.
and
but that's the thing. I don't give a shit. I will take this for granted and I will absolutely say like it's wrong. Because in my mind, like if the sock isn't that, I will lose my mind. I will be a headline that afternoon. But I think it makes me think to myself, like I need a heavy duty sock. I don't think I've let a sock get to the point where it has a hole in it in like 4 years. But I'm trying to think like how much time have I walked around outside aggressively, potentially running either to something or from something?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. It would take a lot, right?
So I can tell you because not only do I put holes in my socks, I put holes in my shoes. Hold on, actually, let me show you my shoe right now.
Andrea.
So look, do you see this? That is from wear and tear on my foot because I have one toe. This is so detailed. I have one toe that slightly points up. And I don't know what happened to it. I don't know, but I have to like really keep that toenail trimmed because it will literally wear holes from the inside out of my socks. And then I also am a little bit pigeon-toed, so I kick my feet kind of together when I'm walking. And so I will put holes in my running shoes, get holes right there every single time. And my husband calls it my velociraptor toe, and he'll be like because
I was just about to say, are you part bald eagle? What are we talking about here?
That's why, that's the funniest thing because, as a creator online, you occasionally will get messages asking for feet pics. And I'm like, that's not what you want.
Occasionally.
I'll tell you right now.
I wish it was occasional.
Wait, how often do you get feet pic requests?
Can I tell you, Andrea, I'm a male in the educational profession. Do you know how many people think I'm gay? And they're just like,
really?
I would be the man for you. And I'm like,
wow.
Love it. Respectable. Absolutely. I appreciate it. I don't swing that way, friend. And they're like, if you put on a pair of underwear and ship it to me, I will pay your rent for a year.
Yeah, I've gotten some of those requests. Do you think they're telling the truth, though? Do you think
they're
they'd
not
actually
telling the
pay
truth. But all I have to do, I got to wait for someone to be like, my package of Mr. J's socks came in, and then what? What am I going to write a contract being you have to pay my rent for a year? Do you know how quickly
you have to out them on the internet?
Get friggin' canceled? I'd be like, yeah, I sent Dave my used underwear, but he didn't have to go posting it. And the problem is like, I'm not going to find myself in a situation where I'm like, shit, I probably shouldn't have sent used socks to Dave. I don't
Right.
want to do
Yeah.
that. How the hell did
I
we
know.
get here?
I
How did we
Here's the
get
thing.
here?
Here's the thing though, because I always wonder, I always send screenshots of that stuff to my husband whenever I get a message like that because we think it's funny. And so I got one just this past week that was like basically like saying they would give me $55,000 to send a topless picture of myself. And I was like, I got those college loans. And I texted my husband and he's like, think of the vacation we could go on, Andrea. And I was like, shut up. Like,
No.
I was like, there's no way.
Listen to me.
There's no way.
What's your husband's name?
Steven.
Steven, you're a friggin' real one. You're a gladiator. You are the pinnacle of male presence. Because here's the thing, there are ways to go about this, right? You want to go to Italy for however long you want? Sick. All you got to do is not put your face in it. Don't get a tattoo in it. You're golden. Do you know how quickly I would do that? Do you know how quickly
the money would never
I would
come.
do that?
The money would never actually come.
Oh
First of all,
God.
second of all, if I wanted to do that, I mean, I could just, have an OnlyFans or whatever. But it was so funny because my husband is like, somebody messaged me recently too and was like, does your husband feel threatened by the people in your DMs? And I was like, the father of my children, the man who has seen me birth 2 children and has known me since I was 19. No, he's not threatened by Kevin from San Antonio DMing me saying nice butt. Like, in what world?
Here's where it's different. I will tell you this. Like, first off, Steven, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Steven's a god.
Yeah.
And he should be recognized as such. Like, I need to have a beer with Steven as soon as humanly possible. Here's the difference. Rania is the first person that I've been with that I think she's the most beautiful person I've ever seen in my entire life. I have been like, I recently went to like this like creator thing that Snapchat hosted, and we had like all these creators, and it was funny. We like had a conversation after, and she was like, you get in that situation where you're like, were any of them beautiful? And I'm like, girl, have you seen you? Have you
have you seen you?
There are so many mirrors in this goddamn apartment. Find a reflection. But the thing is, it's like, she's without a doubt in my mind the most beautiful person I've ever been with. And why she gives me the time of day. But the thing is, like, if we're going to compare and contrast, because she's like a content creator too. She's got her own following on TikTok and Instagram. Yeah. People love her Instagram. But we can't even compare DMs, because I get Bridget in Wisconsin who's like, I would literally lick the bottom of your foot after running a marathon. And I'm like, Bridget, chill. And Bridget, like, I'll show that to Rania and we'll laugh about it. She gets like NBA players.
Does she?
Where I'm like, all right, we have Attila the Hun trying to hook up with you, and I have Bridget who's trying to lick in between my toes.
Right.
We're not on the same page.
I could see that being a different, I could see that being a different feeling if there were like NBA
players. We're not playing the same game. We're not in the same league. We're in a different stadium. Right?
Yeah.
Like that was a Parks and Rec quote, wasn't it? Whatever. But that's the thing, is it's like anyone could send me anything. It'll never be as intimidating as a 7'15" NBA player asking if he can like bring her to Catch Steakhouse. I'm like, I can't afford to sit in line at Catch. Never mind bring you there. I'm like, we can't even pretend this is the same game.
That is pretty brutal. That's brutal.
Okay, I'm going to say.
Okay. Then we got to get back to Christmas.
$55,000 friggin' dollars. 55,000. I would buy implants and then post a picture with them to get that. Let's think about it.
Thing. He could buy his own set of implants, take a picture of himself, and just play pretend. You know,
he doesn't even have to take pictures. He can just sit in the mirror and just jump. Like he can have the time of his life. He's like a one-stop shop.
Baffling,
right?
Yeah,
like he'll never need the internet again.
You would think.
But that's the thing, is it's like, if somebody offered me that, I would just like do it myself. It sounds a whole lot like I'd net about $45,000 from that.
Honestly, yeah.
It's an easy thing. All right, back to Christmas. We both have crazy ADHD.
Yes, we do. Okay, so what are some Christmas gifts that you would recommend or you think would be fun for people to think about for their teacher friends, or if they're not teachers themselves, for their kids' teachers?
Okay, so I go in a lot of directions when it comes to gifts, but I think the thing is that people forget the fact that like any conversation you've ever had about teachers, What's the number one thing that is a bipartisan agreement that everyone has about teachers?
Oh, about giving for gifts
Just
ideas
teachers,
or
just teachers in general. What's something that people think about teachers that everyone agrees on?
Oh God, I don't know. Don't put me on the spot.
You can be put on the spot. What's something that everyone agrees when they talk about teachers? What's something we all
They're
agree
heroes.
on? They're heroes.
They're heroes.
You could say that they should be paid more.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think the thing that people forget is that teachers want to be able to afford the things to do self-care. I think that people forget how much a gift card actually goes a very long way. I know that a gift card is a thoughtless gift, but to me, I'm like, okay, you're allowing me to do with this whatever I need. If you can't go the money route, I actually I make merch, right? And the whole point of the merch is I have so many shitty mugs that just say J, right? A giant J. Like this mug with a J, because my last name starts with a goddamn J. I have probably 60 of those mugs because every single year parents don't know what to get teachers. And they're like, I guess he drinks coffee sometimes. Let's get him a mug. And I'm like, yes, but all I need is one. I can wash it. I can reuse it. Now multiply that by 30. So what I did, I was like, obviously I want to make merch for my platform, but I also want to make something that has sort of a purpose. So I started making merch that I think is a little bit on the funnier side, something that teachers will wear and they'll be like, oh, this is actually kind of sick. For example, this sweater is one of mine. It says students deserve better. Love this, but it's not the funny one. This is one that I love. It might get you fired, but it is what it is. This one says, yes, I'm a teacher. No, don't ask me how my day was. And
that's
it's
very Swift looking, isn't it? Wasn't there a Taylor Swift design that was similar to that? Is that the illusion?
If it is and I get sued, I'm going to be pissed. But that's the thing. I wanted to make merch that teachers will be able to see and at least it'll put a smile on their face, right? They wear it and it's a conversation starter. It's a little bit funny because teachers are funny as shit. And we don't give them opportunities to be funny because then they'll get fired. So I made a mug as well. I was like, okay, if you're going to get a mug that actually works. I have one that says, don't you dare talk to me until you can see the bottom of this. And on the bottom, it says, all right, you're good.
I love that.
It's that's the type of direction that I would go in because I've gotten some nightmare Christmas gifts. It's been horrible.
Okay, so obviously no ankle socks have been given to you because you'd be delighted by an ankle sock.
I would be elated. Are you kidding me? My God.
So what have you been given?
Okay. So when I was teaching younger grades, the parents, I'm always like this with parents, right? We are a text away, a phone call away, and I make that across the board. Because if your kid starts throwing desks, you're going to come in here and help me pick them up. But I think, especially my first couple years of teaching, my parents that I worked with, I think that they just thought I was a frat star and just this 18-year-old tank top on top of a roof. I don't know. They give me gifts that I think would fit the dynamic of a frat boy. One teacher got me a giant cowbell. A cowbell with a handle. It was this big, okay? And on the front, it said, ring for beer.
Oh, wow.
And she said to me, so my girlfriend at the time, she said to me, she was like, this way your girlfriend will know.
Can you imagine?
Have you lost your mind? You know how quickly she would punch me in the throat?
Deservedly.
Literally.
Deservedly.
She would clock me in the mouth. She would put my Adam's apple in the back of my neck if I ever ding, 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 ding. Are you kidding me?
I cannot even fathom.
And it's loud as hell. I moved apartments and I was like, I can't throw it away. It is kind of funny, but I'm never going to use it for its purpose. I'm moving these boxes and it's ding, ding, ding. And no one knows. They think I'm moving around cattle. And it's just the weirdest thing you've ever seen. That's a legitimate Christmas present someone's gotten for me. Crazy.
That is wild.
I had a parent buy me underwear. But it wasn't just underwear. It wasn't boxers or briefs. It was the ones that look like a Speedo. And they really cradle you.
Like a banana hammock
It's
situation?
like a banana hammock, right?
Yeah,
And
okay.
it wasn't like a normal color where they're like, this is literally for use. It was red.
Was this a single parent hoping to make you a stepdaddy? Or what was the context of that?
Oh, shit.
Do you not remember?
It was a single parent.
Oh my God. Did you not realize they were hitting on you?
Andrea, we need to take another break.
Tyler.
Oh, shit.
How did you not realize that? Obviously, you don't give underwear to somebody that you don't want to see them in underwear. Like, that's the whole thing. Yeah. You almost became a stepdad. Look at that. What a treat.
Can you imagine? And I'm holding him up and I'm like,
Here we
Great.
go. Thanks.
Thank you.
Did you open it in front of the student? Did the student know that that's what you were going to be getting?
no, this was given to me after school. The parent came in and was in the
Yeah.
classroom, just me and her. And she was like,
Nice.
this is for you. And I was like, what the hell are we doing
She
here?
really shot her shot. I got to
She
have respect
shot
for
her
that.
shot. In fairness, her kid's
Good for
annoying as
her.
hell, so it would never happen.
Wow.
But oh my God. I just like, wow, what
Well,
a
good for her
mind-blowing
for-
consideration.
Oh my gosh.
She shot her
That is-
shot.
That is such boys.
That's
just like, I
wild.
can't believe. Okay, so I'm going to share the things that, other than your merch, which
Mhm.
is very fun and I love.
I'll get you one if you
because
want.
I thank you. I
Mm-hmm.
would love that. So there's a couple of things that actually were self-care related because I think that when we're looking at gifts for people and when I am out shopping and stuff, I don't like spending money on stuff that I don't just need, right?
Mhm.
Like it feels like an extravagance. If it makes my life like easier or I would just enjoy it, I have such a hard time buying it for
Mhm.
myself. So there's a couple of things. There's something called a Miracle, and it's spelled weird, Mirakel neck massager. It's on TikTok Shop right now, but it's like the neck massager that you can put on your shoulders and it heats up. It is fantastic. I got it for my husband, and
I got one for Rania.
did you? It's so
Yeah.
nice.
Oh my
It's
God.
great. Highly recommend. And it's
Also,
not like
$40.
insanely $40, which like if you're going to buy for an elementary teacher and you only have one teacher to buy for, I feel like that's mostly doable.
Yeah.
If you're shopping for 6 high school teachers, that's probably not going to be the choice. But
You know what my fatal flaw is? I would bring it into the classroom and the kids would be like waiting
Just
for a
sit
lesson.
there.
I'd be like, oh.
sorry, it's
It'd be so funny.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay. And the second one actually is a coffee mug, but it's an Ember coffee mug. Are you familiar with Ember coffee mugs?
No, but now I want to see it.
Oh my gosh. My brother got it for me for Christmas like year before last, and I love it. It is a coffee mug that it has an app attached to it, so you can tell it what temperature you want it to be, and it keeps it at that temperature. You can also like put room temperature water in it, and then it'll make tea for you. It's awesome. Very expensive. So again, this is probably like if you have someone in your life who is or like people who just work from home and are constantly leaving cold coffee everywhere.
Yeah.
It's such a good gift.
This is sick.
Those are like
Do you know what the problem is?
My favorite things.
Here's the problem with me. I think one of the most Bostonian things about me, it could be 90 degrees out or snowing. I will always have an iced coffee.
I love iced coffee. I either want the coffee to be literally burning my mouth when I drink it or iced. I do not like tepid coffee. Tepid coffee makes me gag. I can't do it.
Is this a
I
safe
think it's
space?
so gross. Of course.
Okay, great. So I'll come down here. So recently, Rania and I went to Cyprus. Okay, so we went to her whole family's Cypriot. Both of her parents are from Cyprus. Okay, so we went
Awesome.
over there to meet. This is very isolating. So I went over there to meet her whole family because Cyprus is gorgeous. So we go over there, right? And we had like 15 meals a day because that's all they literally eat like crazy. And it's always
Love
the
it.
best food. I gained 15 pounds in a week. So what they do is after dinner, they have coffee, which is pretty customary, right? But they do coffee a little differently. It's like an espresso shot. So they asked me, they're like, Tyler, do you want a coffee? I'm like, sure. What do they bring out? They bring out this coffee was 1 degree away from boiling. Okay. Like to the point where the bubbles were like still bubbling. Like it's on its way to becoming like going from liquid to gas. Right.
Yeah.
And her dad and all of her family members, they grab the thing and they start chugging it down. And I'm like, do you all not have nerves? Do you not have nerves in your mouth?
They burned them off already.
They burned them out, right? Or maybe they're just men and they're able to like do what they need to do, or just like humans with a better pain tolerance. I'm sitting here like,
it was a test.
Like
they were trying to see if you were like really a man, and you're sitting over there like.
Well, you know what they found out? You know what they found out?
What?
We had to like wait to leave because I was sitting here blowing on this coffee, right? You would have thought this was the woman licking my foot from my DMs. I'm like, like doing my best. I couldn't drink this thing for like 20 minutes. They had already had 4 of them. They're all hopped up.
Oh,
I was like, gosh. I was so insecure because I was like, how are you possibly like, did you make this in hell? Like, I don't understand how you have this coffee so hot. First question, how is the friggin' coffee so hot? Like, did you make this on the sun? Then second off, how are you not in physical pain? Like, do you eat embers for a living? I don't understand how this works. You know?
I love that.
So I think that's another part of the reason is like I set myself up for failure because
so now
all I drink is iced coffee. It's all I've ever done. You know?
Yeah.
I have walked in shorts because I'm an asshole through Boston while it was snowing with an iced coffee, and people have taken videos of me and been like, look at this jackass. And they're right.
So what are you drinking, like just iced coffee, or are you getting like a frou-frou? Oh, it is literally just
black
ice
coffee,
and coffee.
Cold brew.
Okay.
Cold
I just
brew,
wondered
iced
if you were
coffee,
further
light
complicating
ice.
things
Nope.
with the girlfriend's parents by getting like a mocha latte
Can you imagine
situation.
I bought a friggin' frappuccino? Or like a caramel crusted, dusted angel feather on top macchiato. He would have looked over to Rania and been like, dude, this is not the one for you.
This
like,
is
not a chance in hell. He was like, if you bring him into our house, I will punch him in the throat. I promise you.
That would be the end.
I will kick his nuts into his mouth if you bring him back into this household. I promise you. He will taste
You
boo.
have a real gift for violent imagery in a way that I have rarely seen.
I think what you meant to just say was like, I'm from Boston. That's all we do. It's either we talk about violent imagery or we commit violent imagery.
I love that.
That's what we do.
Okay, so before I let you go, what do you have coming up? What can we tell people about, like, different, are you doing any live events? I know you have a podcast. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So I actually have a podcast that I have been putting out on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts called No One Asked for This Podcast because not a single person asked for it. Most recently, I have like I said, I taught 11th and 12th grade last year, and I had a student who graduated as a 12th grader, and she developed quite a following by specifically screwing with me and posting it to TikTok. She has like almost 1 million followers now, which is just bonkers. And she came on the podcast for like episode 8, right? And on episode 8, she just took it upon herself to start making bets, right? So she was like, if this podcast gets 10,000 views, you need to come on the next podcast with me dressed as the Lorax. Because all the students, I bet you did. The whole podcast is absolute blasphemy, and it made me feel like it wasn't even my podcast anymore. It's basically her podcast now. But the Nobody Asked for This podcast, it's on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and it is focused on education, but somehow it's also just focused on the ridiculous things that happen in everyday life. My plan is to bring on a lot more content creators so that we can talk about like the do's and don'ts of trying to get bigger on TikTok and Instagram. And then just like sort of shooting the shit and having fun. It's a fun podcast. A lot of people say that when they listen to it, it feels like they're on a FaceTime call with their friend who's in a psych ward. Which
That's
is like
excellent recommendation, honestly.
Listen, if you don't want that, what do you want?
Exactly.
Yeah, that, and then the merch. Like at this point, we're going to be past Black Friday, so we don't have to worry about the Black Friday sale. But I am going to be doing a sale for Christmas because I want teachers to be able to get gifts that they actually want. So we're going to do some pretty big discounts on the mugs and the hoodies and stuff like that. And then there are projects in the mix that you and I have talked about, but I can't talk about yet. But basically, if you are an educator or you're someone who knows an educator and you want to know about a pretty big project I'm working on, DM me on Instagram. It's at Tyler Jackowski Official on Instagram. That's going to be coming out right after
Awesome.
this podcast comes out. But
Yay.
I'm
so exciting.
I'm really excited about it. I can only imagine, like, I'm going to ask you to have a part in that. So you'll hear about it
I can't
from
wait.
all sides of things, and hopefully I can come back on here and actually talk about it.
1,000%. And then how do people find your merch? Is it like a website?
So to find my merch, you can either go on the Shopify website and just type in the Fishing for Clout merch store, or the easier way to do it is to go on TikTok. If you go on my page, you can see the like my actual store. So on my TikTok page, if you click the store right there, you can see all of my merch.
Perfect.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
actually, Ranya's my model in this. That's so adorable.
Aw,
I'm so happy I did that. Yeah, but you can find it there, and then you can also just search it on Shopify. I think if you Google it, you'll end up finding like an old one that I tried to do by myself and failed. Don't order from that because it's not the same stuff. But yeah, no, it's pretty easy to find. Also, you can DM me and I can send you the link.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Tyler. This was super fun.
This was an absolute honor. I love that we got to nothing we talked about doing. That's just like the best kind of podcast. I love it.
Exactly. All right, guys, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Those Who Can't Do. I hope that you were able to follow my chit chat with Tyler. It's always a really fun adventure when I get to have somebody on who has that much energy and is excited as I am to talk. So I hope you guys had as much fun as I did. If you have thoughts about anything we said today, or you have thoughts on who you would like to see come on Those Who Can't Do, you can reach out, Andrea at human-content.com, or you can contact the Human Content Podcast family at Human Content Pods. And thank you so much for those of you guys who have left reviews. The review today is from Dumper Bumper, which thank you for the 5-star review. The title is Do What the Teacher Said to Do. And it says, "Hey, Miss Andrea, I'm here to turn in my review. I hope I get a good grade." Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I hope you, in fact, also listened to the podcast and liked it. Love it when students do as requested. This isn't my student, just so we're clear. Like, I don't assign this as like an assignment with my students. But I definitely appreciate when I get reviews. So thank you so much. And make sure that if you have not yet reviewed the podcast, you do so, because that is how other people find the podcast. So if you would also like to see my weird busted up shoe from my crazy raptor toe, you can see it on YouTube because those episodes are up every single week at Educator Andrea. Thank you so much for listening. I'm your host, Andrea Forkham. A very special thank you to our guest co-host today, Tyler Jackowski. Our executive producers are Andrea Forkham, Aaron Corney, Rob Goldman, and Shanti Brooke. Our editor is Andrew Sims. Our engineer is Jason Pertizo. Our music is by Omer Benzvi. Our recording location is Indiana State by College of Education. To learn more about our Those Who Can't Do's program, disclaimer, and ethics policy, and submission, verification, and licensing terms, you can go to podcasterandrea.com. Those Who Can't Do is a human content production. Thank you so much for watching. If you're like me and you're thinking, gosh, I really need more Those Who Can't Do in my life, you can start your binging right now by clicking on that playlist button right over there. New episodes are out every Thursday, so please subscribe and join us each week on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Human content.